Because Dan and she will be here. Fine, absolutely fine.
There it is. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the August 5th, 2024 regular meeting of the Lyman Select Board. This meeting is a public proceeding and is being recorded. If everyone would please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so item number 1, we don't have any special offers or presentations this evening. Item number 2, we're going to jump into section A, which is public input. Public in attendance will have up to 5 minutes to address the board. Please use the podium to address the board and please be respectful of others. And with that, we will open that up. Yes. Hi. Poster day.
Yay. Hi, I'm Steve Lord. I'm from 149 Chapel Shores Road, and I'm also from the Lyman Historical Society. And I was here in May, and we did a presentation on Algie Hines, and I felt really, really bad because I showed it to you, and then I left with it, and you didn't get to keep anything. So I brought you something this time you can keep, all right?
Nice.
All
All right, so I won't let that happen again, okay? So the theme during the month of August, and we'll go into a little more detail on that, it's going to be with the Civil War. And I'm going to start with a display board that we've made on the cousins.
Okay.
And I'm going to read this to you, and then I'm going to pass it to you, and you can look at it, and then I'll do 2 other things about the Civil War.
Okay.
So you're probably familiar with Horace Cousins.
Yes,
You're
sir.
familiar with Horace Cousins. Horace Cousins was born in Lyman, Maine, to Seth and Betsy Cousins. He was the second of 14 children. He moved to Newton, Massachusetts, and he married Beulah Fuller Stone of Brookline, and he amassed a large estate from his coal business in Boston and then in real estate. And he left money to the town of Lyman that was used to fund the construction of the Cousins Memorial School. And he left over, in addition to that, and I don't want to make you feel bad, he also left $500,000 to the city of Newton, Massachusetts. He is buried in Newton, Massachusetts, and usually we have a binder over at the library. It's under construction right now, but it'll be back soon. So the reason he wasn't in the Civil War, and the connection is his 2 brothers. And one of his brothers was Seth Cousins Jr., and he was a carpenter, and he enlisted with 22 other Newton men whose names are listed on a monument at the cemetery in Newton, Massachusetts. He was with the 32nd Massachusetts Regiment, And on February 6, 1963, Cousins was discharged with typhoid fever and returned to Newton Center, and he died February 26, 1863. Prior to his getting sick, he had a rather extensive military history, including the battles of Antietam and Fredericksburg with the 32nd Massachusetts. But his name appears on the Civil War Memorial in Newton, Massachusetts, on this tablet right here. And a biography of him was written by Katie Holmes, which I was just reading from, in 2013 by the City of Newton Planning Department. She did a biography on each of the 22 people from Newton who died. And Seth was from Newton, but he was born in Lyman, and he is buried in the Chadbourne Cemetery with his parents. So he is actually here. But the reason it was such a big deal was because this was the second oldest Civil War memorial in the United States. And it was in very bad disrepair, and they wrote grants to get it repaired, and his name is on it.
Awesome.
Okay. Now, his brother is Captain Joseph Cousins. And Joseph Cousins was also born in Lyman. And at the age of 24, he enlisted in the Army and served in the Mexican War. And after the war, he moved to Newton, Massachusetts. At the outbreak of the Civil War, he joined the 32nd Massachusetts Regiment. And on July 2nd, 1963, he was wounded in the Battle of Gettysburg in the wheat field and returned to Massachusetts to recover from his wounds. Meanwhile, the 54th Massachusetts Regiment, which was an African-American unit from Massachusetts, was destroyed at an assault on Fort Wagner in South Carolina. And the assault was made famous in the movie Glory, starring Matthew Broderick, Denzel Washington, and Morgan Freeman. After this, the response to the tragedy was overwhelming. A large number of African Americans in Massachusetts not only filled the 54th again, but it also formed a completely new regiment, the 55th. Joseph Cousins, by this time, had recovered from his wounds, and he was made a lieutenant in Company E of the 54th Massachusetts. He served in that capacity until the end of the war in 1865. He came out as a captain. His company was stationed mostly in South Carolina and participated in the Battle of James Island and Potter's Raid in South Carolina. And after the war, he returned to Newton, and he died in 1915, and he's buried in the Newton Cemetery. And Pat Littlefield from the Historical Society found a picture of him, and that is Captain Joseph Cousins. So, and we also have a picture of the monument at Gettysburg from the unit he was wounded in. So I'm going to bring it over here to Mr. Wagner.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wood.
And I'm going to mention, next thing I want to mention is that also in talking about the Civil War, is we have someone that needs to be mentioned from Lyman who was killed August 19th, 1864, which was 160 years ago, and that's John Stilling Roberts. And he was born June 16th, 1939 from, he was the son of Diamond and Martha Hemingway Roberts, and he was in Company E of the 39th Massachusetts Regiment, and he was the color bearer for the 3rd Brigade, 1st Division, 5th Corps. And on August 19th, 1864, he was killed carrying the American flag in battle. He was one of 251 Union soldiers that were killed in that 4-day engagement. And he is buried in the Roberts Murphy Cemetery on Day Road, right near the intersection of Route 111. And his monument is a picture here. And I'm going to leave this with Lindsay, and you can have this to keep. All right. So the other thing that we wanted to mention was we'd like to invite everybody August 22 to 25 to come to the Acton Fair, because we're going to have a Civil War display there on the Battle of the Crater, which took place 160 years ago in Petersburg, Virginia. And we got to do a night of Lyman in the movies. That was depicted in the movie Coal Mountain. And Nicole Kidman won an Academy Award in that role. Have you seen this? Yeah. Well, the first scenes of that is the Battle of the Crater. And there were 2 soldiers from Lyman who were in the first wave into the crater. And they went into the crater, and one went in and came out, and the other didn't come out. And to find out what happened to them, you got to come to the Acton Fair, because I'm not going to tell you. But August 22nd through 25th, you'll find out, and it's listed on the display board there, a story from Lyman. It's a great story. And we are going to be honoring all of the York County soldiers who were killed, wounded, or captured in the crater 160 years ago. So, and we will also have a description of the crater that was written by Theodore Lyman's grandson, who was an aide to General Meade. And that's kind of interesting too. So we'll have the book there, the movies there, and we hope to see everybody there.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Public comment, who's next? Come on up, Michelle.
I missed the last meeting, and I briefly listened to it while I was driving, so my memory of everything is not the best, but looking at the notes that were taken, one of the discussions under legal services, new business that you guys did last time, and I see that it was chosen to keep as is, just fiscally responsible to the taxpayer. Maybe just like we have with everything else, still put it out for RFPs or investigate, just, I don't know. I just think to say, oh, we'll see as is, you don't know what you're going to get unless you actually investigate. I just think fiscally responsible. I think we do have to the taxpayers. Sometimes bigger firms can offer faster service, or they do have more knowledge, or maybe the guy we have is great and works perfect. But I just think to be fiscally responsible, investigating and actually finding out what others do cost would be the right thing to do for the Lyman taxpayer. Thanks.
Public comment?
No public comment,
Oh, okay.
but I'd like to speak when it's available.
Okay, about what are we?
Well,
You are on. the
I know.
agenda.
but we are less than 5 minutes of a conversation.
Yeah, if you guys want.
And
Oh,
we're
yeah.
frequently
Let's
here
do-
until like 8:15, so
Okay, we had 30 minutes last time, but.
I hear you.
But
It's a
I will,
35.
let me, let's get through public comment and then we can make a motion. to
Absolutely,
see if
that'd be
things are
great.
out of
Thank
order
you.
for you guys. Yeah, no problem. Is there any other public comment while we're here? Okay. Does anyone want to make a motion to take the cemetery committee out of order?
I'll make a motion to take it out of order. I don't know where it is though.
Under-
7E.
5, 7, I'm
To
sorry.
take 7E and move it up front.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Welcome to the podium, cemetery committee.
Thank you very much. In your packets, I'm pretty sure that Lindsay has given you a 2-page list. One is a letter and one is a list of the Lyman Cemetery Committee removal trees. We have done, and I asked that Joe Goff come here so you would know who's the man that's been cutting all these trees. So this is Joe Goff.
Hi.
Good evening,
And
everybody.
he's been really very helpful for us and very easy to communicate with. So the sheet of paper looks like this, which has a list. The top group is what we've already dealt with.
Thank you.
Oh, there you go, perfect. And we are asking, we don't know how to do this properly. We did not put it on the town meeting, but we are requesting $50,000 to move forward with that next chunk of trees. And Joe has been the person that's done all of ours, except when Larry did in the beginning. And we don't know how we're supposed to do that, so that's the only reason we're here. We did have this from all of you guys, October 12th of 23,
who at that time, this was working with John Burbank Cemetery, and I believe that's almost all dealt with. So that's my reason for being here, and
And since then, the April storm came through and there's some more damage done. So it just basically speaks for itself. The trees in the cemeteries, once they're gone, won't cause that problem down the road. So
Right.
we're just hoping we can continue in some
And we
fashion.
know, and I know that Lindsay is aware there's a problem in our community cemetery. The community cemetery is not one that's seen often, and it is on our list. When the prior tree person went, I believe he took a whole swath of trees out but did not finish. So it may have made it so the wind took the next row of pines and took them down.
I did note that on that newer copy with an asterisk, so the down bottom was a remote site. I was told the trees were out, but some trees were not taken out, and those trees unfortunately came down in that April storm and did damage to fences and.
And we do not want that included in the $50,000. Joe doesn't need to deal with that cemetery unless you want us to change the amount. I think Steve Carpentieri and Larry Blanchett, who were doing this in the beginning, if they want to ask for more money, they could do that. And I hope that we used up our 5 minutes.
In the past, when you got the $60,000
Yes,
at one point, there was, I think you might have been on the board then, Dave,
Yep.
that the money, there was money that was gonna be returned from logging.
Yep.
Did that ever happen?
Not yet. That's in process, but not yet.
I don't think it was logging, though.
Or-
Sale of the lands.
It was sale of the land. But now if we can,
I thought it was
whatever we
logging. I
can utilize it
apologize.
for.
That was what I had in my mind.
My question is, when you first came for the $60,000, wasn't that inclusive of all cemeteries?
Like
oh no, we have
17, not all
113
cemeteries.
cemeteries.
So there were several on there, but Larry came in and then he didn't finish. And then he had to step away and we had to get somebody else to come in and finish. So
Clean his up.
unfortunately, he got paid for a portion of that money.
Yeah.
I mean,
And then we began to work with ones that we knew were the most critical and dangerous. We have taxpayers that call us and say, are we on the list? Yes, you are. Here's where you are in the list. And we get to them as quickly as we can.
In the future, I think we should have this conversation when we start with the budget and not.
Yes.
Because in this coming here and asking, it's gonna require a special town meeting, I believe.
Yeah.
So
And-
it can go on the November ballot as an option.
Could do that. That's why I was gonna go there next year.
Or you can do an open town meeting where people raise their hand, but it may be better because we're gonna have a referendum anyways in November. If you wanted to add this to it, you could. And I know last time you guys kind of played with the wording a little bit, it could be offset by sale of town land. You don't really have to do that because, we may raise or appropriate money to spend on this, but then any revenue we collect, whether it's from logging or selling land, it's gonna go back into fund balance. So it will get offset, because we do have a goal of doing that. I
Yeah.
don't think you need to specify any revenue for it.
And next year, yes, will be definitely part of the budget because this
We
is
have to
going to be
finish.
ongoing
right.
until we complete it. And we're, if we have the funds to do this next group, we've really picked away then at 2/3 of the critical cemeteries.
We were set back by Breakwood starting and not being able to finish and
Right.
stepping away and then finding somebody else to come in. So we were kind of running behind and we wanted to accomplish what we could accomplish before we came and asked for more.
And my question is, I've always wondered this, where he did not complete his contract, is there any recourse for the council to go after him as far as unfinished work or?
He was-
Did you have a contract with them?
We didn't have a contract.
I really don't know.
No, that, Steve Carpentier is more, I didn't ever deal with him until there was a critical issue at a cemetery. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
to be completely honest, I've never met him.
No,
I
me
do
either.
not know. I don't have to, sorry, my apologies.
I didn't know if the town had anything like
We did not have a contract with them.
Okay,
No, and I think that's one of the things that's worth mentioning when we're talking about this, is if this goes out to the voters and it's approved, is that this sum of money has to be, we have to bid it out. We have a list of work and we know, and so I'm not saying that you're not doing a wonderful job. It's just our charter is pretty clear about that, so to have multiple purchase orders for just under the threshold, it's cost splitting and it just really looks bad, so I think we put together you have a really great list here, like a scope of what needs to be done, and then you're obviously more than welcome to participate in that process. And it goes through, and then everything, nobody can say, oh, they just gave it to him because they like him and they don't like her, or something like that, so just,
Very interesting.
Yeah, I don't think the charter's clear on it.
yeah, so,
Madam Chair,
yes.
are there any locations that require relatively minor work such that, don't mean to be facetious, but a couple of members of the town signing some waiver of liability to the town, go out there with their chainsaws and remove the wood, maybe for their own use or for donation? Anything along those, and yeah,
There-
smaller,
the smaller stuff, we've
We do
done,
them.
we've
Mm.
done, as far as I know, unless it's like a landlord owner issue at this point.
Mhm.
I'm not talking about
And they
like
say
that,
we want to do
But
it.
we have tried to get all of that
okay.
ourselves.
But if the
Steve and
person
Dan
wants
and-
to,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean,
somebody
we
has-
encourage people, please support your cemetery if it's in your, within your property.
Yeah,
Okay.
so if they're the landowner,
Mm-hmm.
abutting it, since they don't own the cemetery, they're fine, but I think there is, if you were not a sworn member of the cemetery,
Going in.
yeah, going in and just cutting stuff up, there's no protection.
Right, we are covered by the town's insurance.
Katrina, can you stand at the podium? I hate to do that.
Oh,
to you,
well,
just
no, I
so
don't
that
mind. I'm
people
sorry.
on YouTube can hear it
Yes,
as well.
yes,
when you
sorry.
guys answer these. Could grants cover any of that?
Grants, we've yet to been able to get any. I've been on the committee since 2013, and we found it, we had Jim Hawthorne who worked very hard trying to get grant money. The money that we're able to get is only for if we have a veteran stone that is damaged, the VA replaces it. There's one down where on 111, if you know where Ashley's is. That one was just replaced.
But there's nothing else out there that you found or?
No. We've certainly hoped.
Because I'm thinking timing, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Moving forward, it's August already, so we gotta wait to ask if we do it on the referendum on the ballot on November, which we will get a lot of people will be voting in that election, I'm sure, because there's something else going on, I'm not sure what, but, that's gonna be November, right?
Mhm.
How much tree work do you get to do? Do you do it on,
In the winter,
in the winter? I mean, it's,
do you mind if Joe speaks to that?
The microphone.
Because he's done quite a bit.
Yeah.
Come on up to the
Yeah.
microphone.
We work through the winter. We have equipment to be able to take care of the snow that's ever in the way, or if there's any problems with snow, we can definitely take care of that and then take care of the trees also. So that's not a problem working through the winter.
And I'll speak with Joe to say, it's sometimes easier in the winter when you don't have wet ground,
Mhm.
children, dogs, all the leaves and everything.
Frozen
True.
ground does definitely help sometimes.
Right, because one on North
No
Berwick
leaves.
Road.
Yeah.
Old North
Makes the
Berwick,
trees a little bit easier.
went down on snow,
Mhm.
and it would have been great if that other person could have gotten it out of there. It was easy, but now it had some snow on it. But in other words, that's easier.
Yeah, wintertime does tend to
Okay.
make, especially larger pines, where in North Berwick Road, it went across, I'm pretty sure it was a hayfield or a cornfield
Yeah.
where he had dropped the larger trees. And if I could have gotten to them during the wintertime, it would have been a lot easier,
Right.
for sure.
We saw so much of this tree damage this year. It's
Yeah.
it's horrible. I appreciate the work that you guys do. It is a lot of money, but I understand it. I've done work for tree removal services. I've climbed. I know it takes a lot of work, a lot of equipment, a lot of time. I get it. I wish we would have done this sooner,
I'm sorry.
but I'm just saying.
I agree.
It's kind of,
We knew, but we said, well, we've got to do something. And if it doesn't work, we'll have to wait.
Yeah, I was just wondering, have you guys done fundraising? Because I've not seen the cemetery committee out and about fundraising.
No, we're working. I mean, I hate to put it that way, but we haven't done anything. We have sent things out in the mail with the tax bills, asking for volunteers. Anyone who wants to make a contribution can. There was a fundraiser for the Burbank,
Mhm.
and we got I think, $250.
I'm just thinking adopt a plot, adopt a
But
stone.
we've done this,
adopt-
yes.
I mean,
I
50 bucks
wish.
a stone. I've not seen anything, I see the Historical Society, they're out there at everything, raising money, other organizations. And I think it'd be nice to see the cemetery committee out doing some fundraising.
We could definitely try to do that.
I mean, I just gave you a great adopt a plot or adopt a headstone, I'll sign up to be your first one. Let me know how much you want. $100? I'll write you a check right now.
All right, great.
All right, well, yeah, because I think in the past, when I tried adopt a plot, was more maintaining it.
Right.
As opposed to fundraising.
Yeah.
And I didn't get anywhere.
We didn't know. So we'll try that approach, definitely.
so now the request is $49,900.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll have to stay till the end of the meeting and I'll write the check.
Can I go home and make dinner and I'll be back then? Thank you.
No, we appreciate you.
Thanks. We really like what we do. Clearly.
I know you guys have done a ton of things and the GPS plotting to me, is amazing.
It's invaluable.
It is, that's the word I was trying to find in this.
And it is for us. If we have to send somebody who's never been there before,
So it's been 12 years since its inception?
2013, so yeah,
Yeah.
just about.
So FYI on the fundraising idea, so you guys are more than welcome to do that, but there is something that the board has to sign off. You've done it before with the Burbank plot,
Yes,
but otherwise if we.
Yes,
just
I have it right here.
donate the Fund balance, but if you want it to go towards a cemetery balance. or
It has to
cemetery-
be.
You know what I mean, there's some paperwork to do, but you've done it before, so
Yes.
let's do it again.
Yeah, I think it's because it's mandated by the state that they be mandated.
right, I have a copy of that letter from you
Yeah.
guys last year, so.
If we were to ask for funding, what would our cutoff date be? To get it on the
September
ballot.
3rd, Your next meeting, September 3rd, I have to have you guys sign the orders for the referendum for November. It has to be within 60 days of the election.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
just a clarification. If I was to volunteer me and my chainsaw for some project that isn't all that involved, are you okay with that? No liability to the town?
We've talked about volunteers with chainsaws before, and the board was like, they wanted some liability stuff in place, and a lot of people didn't want to put forward the stuff we wanted, which is like insurance coverage and stuff like that, because
It is inherently dangerous.
it is.
Don't know what level, I mean, I have met,
From an expert's point of view, and not even to be nosy, but the down trees are the worst type of trees to be trying to cut. And especially people that, not to call you inexperienced at all, but those are always the worst ones because there's reaction to the tree to get to the rest of the way down. So I just wouldn't want to see that happening if.
I
Obviously,
agree.
Just from recent experience, I had a large maple come down in my property. Had the rest of it taken down by a tree service. A lot of it's still on the property. A young gentleman down the road who has a very big splitter and a chainsaw. We took our chainsaws, divvied them up. He split it, and he uses a lot of wood. And I have another resident in town who burns a fair amount of wood. And if this is a means to gain access to it, they'll put in the elbow grease. Just suggesting.
And when we put any of the wood, unless the homeowner says we want it, we put it out at the edge of the road. It's free for the taking for anybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
use more than
Thanks for
5
coming.
minutes.
It's not 5 minutes then, you're on the agenda, it's okay.
Oh, okay.
You're
We'll-
good.
Thank
We
you.
don't
Make
say
your
that to
dinner.
make people freak
No,
out.
no, no, but we don't, there people might be
We say that so
waiting.
that we're not here
Say.
till 9 o'clock.
So what'd you say? You were gonna go make us dinner? Is that?
Yes, yes.
I heard that too.
Yeah, yes. And feed animals. You don't not feed the animals.
No,
It's all bad. Thank you very much.
thanks for
Appreciate
coming.
your time.
Appreciate
Thank
you. Nice to meet you, Joe.
All right.
Any chance that 7A could be moved up? Troy was nice enough to come down. from
I was actually gonna suggest that.
Oh, just 1 second though, can we maybe put that on our agenda for next time?
Yeah,
To
so the next
think about
one,
that.
I have to talk to you guys about November referendum anyways.
Okay,
So if you need.
I just
some
don't
more
wanna
time
lose
to think
sight of
about
that.
it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. Do you have a motion over there, is that what I heard?
The motion over here to, I make a motion to talk about the hydrants with the chief and his other guy, Troy.
I'm here to support the chief.
This other
Here
guy.
to, yeah, I couldn't remember his name. I knew it, but.
I'll
didn't
second.
know
All right,
Thank
any
you.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
it. Thanks for bailing me out
All
there.
right. Welcome to the podium, it's your turn.
So we must have, do we have
7.
bids?
Yeah, so do you want to talk first? Do you want us to open? I think we have one bit.
Clarify something for
Yeah.
now. Okay, so and I'm not sure, it's probably, I don't know if it's a big deal or not, on this dry hydrant installation project, it says at 244 South Waterbury Road. But I read your all hands today, and that says 264, so.
It's literally, and I don't know if you found out which actual plot it's on, but it's literally in the middle between those two.
Okay,
It's actually
so-
on one. I can find out it's on one plot.
244,
Whatever one the house is on.
244.
Okay, so I don't know if that matters or not, but I was just like, oh,
We
wait.
had
I
to
think-
check the boundary lines because we don't have like a fast enough overlay. So I had to do a little more digging and we thought that the pond was like sat on the middle of two properties, but I was able to verify it's actually on one property, which is excellent.
Okay. I don't even know where 244 is on Waterbury Road. Check on my way home.
Yeah, so we're just looking to finally put a dry hydrant in. Been working for, I don't know, 2.5, 3 years on this project and finally get a good location. But there needs to be some work done to the pond. So the RFPs that went out was pretty much to do a lot of work to the pond and have our friend Troy here install the hydrant for us.
Okay. So we have 1 bit. Would you like to open it?
Well, you can open it. Yeah, well, please. Yeah, I'm open. This is Ames Property Service. It was received on July 18th. Folded up very neatly. The total, we'll just go straight to the total for everyone. You can all review it. $22,416.12.
Minus 5,000.
Yep, we only need is, yeah.
Yeah. So this is where the grant kicks in. So our $5,000 from the grant will go into that.
Okay.
So our portion is $5,000 less than that quote you have there.
Yes, my name's Troy Dare, and I'm the person who's hired to do the rural water supply plan for the area, which is part of a CWPP grant, Comprehensive Wildfire Protection grant. And so I'm being paid by the grant to do the work on that, so that's not coming out of your budget, that's coming from the grant as well. As the chief already mentioned, there's $5,000 in grant funds that will come for this project. There was 3 hydrants that needed to be installed. We've installed 2 of them. This would be the last one of 3. Also, what will come with that is I'm going to do an availability study for this if the project is funded, which the chief can use down the road to lower his ISO rating, things like that. Of course, there's a lot more to it than just one little site, but it will help with that if he decides to do so. And the chief already has some piping stockpile, so that's pretty much going to cover majority of the hydrant components. The chief can speak to better than I can about the location. As far as I can tell, the pond's nice and big. Once it's cleaned out, it's gonna have a lot of water there. I estimated between, about 250,000 gallons if the hydrant is installed the way I have it designed. And the location is great as far as access, big parking lot. It really doesn't get much better as far as I can tell, the finished product if it gets funded. So.
Thanks. And you have a separate budget for hydrants, right?
No, the town has the budget
The town has. a
for
budget.
hydrants.
Yeah, it's like the.
We put something in it each year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we know how much is in that?
I'm gonna say it was like 17.
I believe it's like 20,000 because the last time I started,
16 and 12 cents.
We should have just put some money in it because.
we just put 4,000 into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, if you, so if you remember, I can double check.
So this would be the last one out of the 3 that you proposed?
No, what Troy was talking about was the entire grant, and the entire grant revolved mainly around the Massabesic Forest. So he's worked in Kennebunk and in Hollis to put hydrants in. This last one that he's got to do will go in Lyman.
Right.
We hope.
The other 2 grants, one went in Kennebunk and one went in Hollis. There was 6 townships that was part of the CWPP. And Lyman and 2 of those towns.
The other ones that you've been a part of or know about, do they equal this scope in value? Are you aware of or?
No, I think this one's a little bit bigger because of the cleaning out of the pond.
Yes. The others didn't need pond work, he just needed a hydrant installed.
Yep.
That's the difference between projects, why this was more expensive. The others run in between 8 and 12, I think, thousand. That's
But
fresh in my mind.
8 and 12, and this one was, Vic, what did you say?
22.
2 minus 5.
Minus 5?
Well, I want to point
This-
out too, if I can, please, that the landowners here are going to deal with the material that's taken out, which is a huge savings. They're not going to have to truck all this material off somewhere. It's going to be, really what you're paying for is to clean out the pond, stockpile that material that the landowners are going to take care of, and fix the overflow and just some landscaping. And of course, install a hydrant, which really is half a day's work, really.
The grant expires August 31st.
The hydrant has to be installed by the end of September is what you
Yes,
told me, right?
we originally
I thought
looked
it-
at this
thought it was
back in
August.
June, that's why we targeted August, trying to give us some time to get our ducks lined up. Absolute deadline is the end of September. After that.
Yeah, this is the 4th location Troy and I have looked at.
I was just gonna ask you, this is the same one that you've been
Yeah.
trying and.
Yep, we've been on Wadley Pond, we've been on Kennebunk Pond, we've been Barker's Pond, and Barker's was going to be about $16,000 to $17,000 cost to the town as well because of the amount of pipe and the distance we had to get out.
Now
Into
we're
the
probably
pond.
on tree clearing, which is actually more, I hope you guys did have a tree clearing discussion, but this one is just a pond, draining it, pumping it down, and then mucking it out.
But as far as location and getting the fire trucks off the road and the crews working off the road and the safety for our people, this is probably one of the better hydrants we'll have if we can.
We haven't done a hydrant in
We have not put a new hydrant in town. We
That
fixed a
will
bunch.
pretty much bust your budget for the rest of the year, correct?
That will get us pretty close to out of money.
You feel good about it?
I do. I do.
Okay.
If I can add one more thing.
Sure, sir.
I cover Vermont for my full-time job. I cover the whole state of Vermont, and I look at several of these types of projects all the time. And the most recent one was in Weathersfield, Vermont, and I got bids between $40,000 and $60,000 for this type of project. And that's including removing the material. It's not apples to apples, really. The projects are a little different. The hydrant's smaller, the pond's a little bit smaller, but in my opinion, you're going to be getting a $30,000 to $40,000 project done for what the chief is asking for. So, just want to add that.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
is there any familiarity with the vendor as this service installed dry hydrants elsewhere?
You talking about Ames?
Yes.
They actually come from a recommendation from Troy, and
Yeah, I've
they've done
done
the other two in the
hydrants.
projects with
All right.
them.
They installed both the other two hydrants.
Thank you.
Which would have been the company that we would have hired or asked to hire, but because of the amount, we had to go to RFP.
Got it. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Second it. Sorry, Joe.
Oh, you got it. Oh, yeah.
Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks.
Go.
Thank you very much. Thanks, James. Yeah, no problem. No
Thank you
problem.
both.
Mhm.
Appreciate it.
No. Thank you. Of course you can.
You guys have try to keep everything all together.
You're doing a
Keep all
fine,
of our work
you're doing a
today,
fine
so-
job.
Okay,
I'm not really
Get
trying to
back
mess
to
you
it.
up, but
so we're gonna jump back up to our order, which is item number 3, minutes from,
Mail.
what's it?
So Encompass Joy is here,
Oh, okay.
and so unless you want to stick around for the meeting, but if you want.
Hey, we can stick with the theme of the night. I'm good with it.
let's just, it's upside down. Let's just start
Let's
down
start at the
here.
bottom.
Start at the bottom.
Here we go.
Yeah.
I'm good with it. Anyone got a motion for that?
Which is it?
Item 7C.
C.
I'll make a motion to move to item 7C.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so we have review and approve the Encompass Joy liquor license.
So this one was viewed by the planning board just recently,
Okay,
and they had a public hearing for it.
okay,
So sometimes you guys do public hearings, but you don't, it's not a requirement, so the board may have. a public
Yes.
hearing. So, for the sake of redundancy, it's up to you guys how you want to move with that, but just so you know. We literally just did it like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think 3 weeks ago I got approved for
Yeah.
the couple of food trucks there.
perfect.
Can we have you come up?
Yeah.
I'd like to hear what's going on, because I've heard a whole lot of, people talking about this.
You have.
And I didn't participate in the discussion or listen to it fully because it's all just rumor mill, but now it isn't.
So my name's Carrie Ann Johnson. My LLC is Encompass Joy. I bought that very interesting property over there, as we know, is split between Arundel and Lyman. So it took a lot of planning to get the approval for a couple of food trucks, trailers / carts. I'm open to a variety around the small second commercial building on the lot. The cafe that sits out front is considered Arundel, and that is separate. So I just had an electrical post put in with several different ampages to have 2 trucks, which I think is tops that should be there. I've got several picnic tables out front. I'll have umbrellas. I'm going to have just a small little seating section in the back of the small cabin, and the front of it would be beer and wine. I have something to put outside for also hydration, hibiscus water, cucumber water, things like that. I want to have outside too for people sitting at picnic tables. It's just a lunch spot, basically. Lunch ending by 8 p.m. is my goal.
Nice.
And that's going to accompany the cafe, which will have food. That right now is proposed to be barbecue / wood-fired pizza. So I'm hoping to get the 2 trucks that come, whether they rotate through. They want to pay for a day. They want to pay for a week. They can anchor down if they have really good food and the people love it and keep coming back. There's options for these trucks, but get a little variety of something else coming through to go along with what's in the building, in the big building.
Does anybody know during the public hearing if there was anything negative?
Not to my recollection. I was present for that. I wasn't
Concerns
present.
about traffic, always concerns about traffic, I think were the biggest things. But I mean, personally, I'd like to waive, if possible, another public hearing. I know it'd be the same group of abutters and the same group of people, which all knew I plan to do a small beer and wine garden out of that building along with the food truck. So it's all out there to them.
Did you get any negative responses from neighbors and?
No.
abutters?
No, they're actually very excited.
Nice.
Yes.
About the only adjustment from my understanding was maybe a fence between yourself and.
Yes,
No.
Benjamin to my right on the other side of the cabin, and he's already marked the property and he's actually decided to put the fence up. Yeah, I don't know what he's going to go with yet, but that was his concerns for people walking beyond the property line. He doesn't want, pieces of trash. Evidently, the folks that overtook the Down Home Cafe, that was the last business out of the Ashley's restaurant. They had some issues with people kind of moseying over onto his property and leaving things behind.
So this application is their on-premises liquor license, so this is like, they've already gone through the planning board approval process, and this is just for them to get their license through the state.
And it's just beer and wine. I don't want to deal with liquor and mixing cocktails.
So we need to approve the application. I'll make a motion to approve the application.
Thank you.
Second it.
Any
Thank you.
discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yay, thank you very much.
So do we also have to make a motion to waive the public hearing?
No, because I read the application, it says you may have a public.
Yeah, that's what I
But,
I caught that in the other one.
Right.
I figured this one was the same, it looked the same.
I mean, it's up to you guys if you want to, but.
May.
All right.
And do you anticipate opening?
You know what? I mean, everything's taken a lot longer than I anticipated to get to where I am. So, signage is being made. This DBA under my LLC is called Truck to Table. So yeah, look for that, and hopefully there'll be some open flags out front soon. And the cafe has been my biggest nemesis, which I'm getting ready for that barbecue guy to assume. Now I can work on the beer and wine garden now that you've given me the approval. I mean, trucks are ready to come. So
Good luck.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
That's exciting.
Yeah, there's nothing along that stretch, so I hope to see all your faces.
Well,
I'll try some
One-
tasty food.
Once upon a time, there was Jack's Truck Stop. I don't know
I
if
heard
you all
that.
remember Jack's Truck Stop, but I spent many a Friday night there. Back when I was a youngster.
So I'll make a motion to move 7D for the MMA fight. Is that what this is? No,
Yeah.
that's not what that is. All right.
305.
Sorry.
Oh, boy. All right.
All right.
Are we going back in order now?
Sure.
It's up to you. You're running the
I'm gonna
meeting.
say we are. So, we're going back up to item number 3. We are going to review and approve minutes from July 15th.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes as written.
Second.
Any discussion on the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we're gonna move on to item number 4, signing of the warrants. So first off, letter A, we have payroll warrant number 3 in the amount of $29,120.67.
So moved.
And seconded.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item B, we have payroll warrant number 4 in the amount of $29,199.40.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on that one? All in favor?
Aye.
Item C, we have accounts payable warrant number 53 from FY '24 in the amount of $8,024.41.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on that one? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have item D, accounts payable warrant number 5 for FY '25 in the amount of $1,160,356.47.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on that?
Yeah, I went through that. This is the number. I was like, that has to be.
Beginning of the fiscal
RSU.
year.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's good. Gonna say the
Okay. Moving on to item 5, unfinished business. Don't think we have any updates on franchise.
So law goes into effect obviously 9th,
Mm.
so I'll
Okay.
check in with
I should
Tom
remember
again.
that date by then now, but I don't, so
I'll check in with them again.
I'll just keep looking at you and you can go now. All right. Item 5, letter B, Amber, discussion on legal services RFP.
Yes, so after the meeting, when we discussed this last time, I was just contemplating the number of places that I've worked that we have gone through different things that we hired out, and we would yearly, not in all places, but some, we would just go and just check to see if there was a better rate to be had. And I just think that we, as Michelle said, are doing ourselves a disservice by not at least putting this out there to see what else is out there.
Right.
I know continuity, like you said, I understand that, it's great, but sometimes there's just
Well-
other things that make a difference.
It doesn't mean we have to choose somebody else or change.
That's-
But I was thinking about the same thing because on reflection after the meeting, we hired our current firm when I was on the board before. So that's been a long time since we saw what was out there.
Yeah.
And that was gonna be my comment.
So I just think that we, as a board, should rethink that. And it's, like Vicky just said, we can put it out. We're not obligating the town to anything. We're just gathering information.
Madam Chair?
Yep.
Well, just in the previous conversation that we had about this, Vicky, you asked, has there been any complaints about the services that were being provided so far? Didn't hear any. There was some concern voiced about timeliness. And I think we do have an example of a request being made on July 1 and getting a response back on July 13th in the packet. That's a little bit of a delay, granted. I think there is something to be said about the continuity. The third consideration would be price, and I think we're paying, what, $135 an hour?
No, when you guys asked me that, I didn't have any of that information in front of me, so it's actually 175.
$175.
But I mean, if you're gonna ask me for like complaints, I'm never gonna publicly like
Yeah.
bash anybody.
Oh, right.
But if you wanna talk to me individually on perception, I guess, you're more than welcome to. But yeah, I'm not gonna.
I think regardless of that, I think it probably just makes sense as a fair and equitable process to go out and just seek, even if it's just an hourly rate. That's what we had done with Charter Commission. We had gone out
And ask for the hourly.
and we met with them individually, like, it was
Yeah.
just a quick little, we asked questions and.
Yeah, it was quite a process when we did that before.
Even just with charter, we didn't go with the lawyer that they used before, even though that was the biggest thing that everyone wanted is the person who did charter before. And I think actually we did spend a little bit more on the person we got, but we did reach out to multiple just to see what's out there and see different services, different people, different times. Thanks.
But just getting, if I may, Madam Chair, I think I did post the question to you, Lindsay, personal
Yes, you
conversation.
did, yeah.
And
nothing-
at that time, you said, and I think Dave, you mentioned that at the rate, even if it is, more than 135, 175, that still tends to be rather low fee. And again, no complaints. I do think there's something to be said about continuity.
My only concern is, when you have, if you're going to put it out for, if you're going to check and make cold calls, that's one thing. If you're going to put it out in an RFP, then be prepared that there's a chance that your rate is going to go up.
Right. And I can't remember, I think we just when we did it for charter, we just sort of reached out to firms individually, kind of on the side, just to get an hourly rate. What's your municipal hourly rate? And then I think we decided like, okay, these three make sense to have come talk to us,
Mhm.
right? So then it's not like a public thing that we were kind of obligated to publicly act upon necessarily. Because to that point, I don't want to put us in a situation where all of a sudden our rate increases more
And-
than.
Having watched the budget and been involved in the budget processes, I don't think it's unreasonable. I don't think we've been, there's been years that we spent a lot more
Oh, for sure.
on legal issues.
We've spent last fiscal year, I think it was 7,600. So, I mean, it wouldn't constitute an RFP. But I think maybe if we get into an hourly rate that we start spending over $10,000, like maybe it could be questionable, right? But I'm good with too, like just reaching out and doing some calls and basically collecting quotes of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I'd
think
rather
that
do
makes
that
the
than an
most
RFP.
sense, just to gauge it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Is everybody good with that approach?
So inquiring with different firms what their rates would be, sounds good to me. See what's out there.
How many do you think is appropriate?
5.
Well, you'd say get at least 3 quotes per.
I'd say 3 to 5.
Yeah, 3 to
Knowing
5
that
would
you,
be-
like, if you reach out to 3 to 5, you might be lucky to get 3 back sometimes.
And firms that have some specialization in municipal affairs.
Yeah, maybe like a minimal like summary of, like the scope of services that they do provide. If they look in a larger firm or
We can give you
smaller.
the info for who we use for charter too. They have significant municipal experience as well. Awesome. Okay, we'll move on to item 5, letter C, Kennybunk Pond flashing beacons, quote for solar installation. Just another once and for all, we're getting close, maybe?
Yeah, so this is what we were waiting for. I finally got a quote for the installation, which is $1,500, and then the poles and the base, which is $1,939. So we're out of ARPA funds, we're all done with that. If we're gonna proceed with this, you'd have to consider taking it out of capital improvement. You might consider, you only have 2,500 in your contingency, so that's another option you have, but it's not gonna cover it, so you'd still have to take something out of capital improvement, but we don't have any like funding budget for this.
This is just material, correct?
No, on the backside, there's the 1,500 for the solar.
Sorry.
Look at the solar, because they come disassembled.
So I
Gotcha.
want to make sure I understand this, right? Because this has been a long road and multiple pieces. So we have the sign somewhere that will flash pedestrians crossing
There's
in a
solar.
solar way. That needs to all be put together on a pole, and the solar stuff has to get all connected.
Yes.
That's what this is.
Yeah, apparently they come.
Because the sign already lives here somewhere in our town.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're looking at 1939.80
No,
Plus-
we're looking at
Plus 15.
plus 15.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So 3,500. So let's see.
And this is the only, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. I just want, well, do you know what we have in the capital improvements account right now?
We're gonna have 115,000 because we added 15 to it. So it's 115,935.
Thank you.
And this is honestly a safety measure.
It is.
And if we don't do this, we don't have any claim to that $5,000 potentially, or up to $5,000.
5,000. They have to come out and
Yeah.
inspect it.
So I would make a motion to accept.
I second that.
Any discussion?
Yeah,
This is,
I'm sorry, go ahead,
so this
please.
like takes care, this is the final, we do this, we don't have to talk about these solar lights, installation, electricians, everything for this 24 or something.
We're gonna talk about it when they tie a rope around it and rip it out of there.
Well,
So there still needs to be the installation of, like the electrician's gonna hook up the solar. But then you gotta install the sign, which we did factor that in with GTscape, so that is part of their agreement, that they were gonna do that, they just couldn't because we didn't have the signs done.
So what is Ed Profeno? What's,
He's the electrician, he's taking the solar components and like with his certified electrician degree, like he's.
Hooking the solar to the sign,
Yes.
solar to the sign, then he gives that to Highway Tech, this company. No, they don't install it.
oh,
'cause
so the sign did not come with the.
They build the sign,
Yeah,
and then they give that to GTscapes.
The wiring's
Who-
gonna be run up the pole, I think it sounds like, I mean, I don't know exactly how to assemble these things. He has assembled them before, he does it quite often in like Saco and stuff.
Mhm.
So he's very familiar with putting these together, but this is just for the solar component, and then we will have to physically install them, which GTscapes, we did hire them to do that, so they will come back out and do it.
As
But we
part
already-
of what was already in their
Yeah, that's
contract.
been paid for.
Is there a concrete pad that would need to go with it? No? Is it there?
No, so there's a base, like here it says
Yeah.
the pole and there's a square base.
Right.
Square base.
But it needs to attach to a concrete.
Yeah, which I
Yeah,
think
I
is.
think
what
those are
GT
preformed.
Yeah. Yeah, because GTscapes was gonna do the base.
Okay.
Right.
Have you ever noticed the difference that those make? That when you see them, you can see them from far away?
Yep.
And it feels like you notice them.
Yeah, they're pretty nice.
I'm on board with it.
I
Please don't
am-
mistake
yes.
my questions. I want to make sure that I fully understand all of the layers of how many ways we have to approve installing this
Yes.
one flashy sign.
Two
Oh,
signs.
oh, two.
One on each side, yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
I just,
Okay.
So
All right. So any other discussion on this?
Just a quick question. Any ballpark estimate as to when it might be completed?
I won't know until I talk to whoever's gonna install it
Mhm.
and then install the actual sign, so.
yeah, this says lead time
He
6
just
to 8
gave us a
weeks.
quote. He didn't say.
Oh, because he still has to get this up. So 6 to 8.
Yeah,
weeks.
6 to 8 weeks for this lead guy.
Mhm.
Maybe next spring.
just in time for the snowplow.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Where do you see, oh, there's the.
Yeah,
Those are the poles,
Yeah, that's for his,
and then Ed has to assemble it, so whenever Ed's available.
Okay.
Well,
He'll give us a lead.
We'll keep the ball rolling.
Keep it going,
anyway.
yes.
Okay. Any other discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Capital improvement.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, I need you guys to approve the amount of hours.
Oh, yep.
2439.
34, 39.80, does that make sense?
34,
34.
39, 80.
3980.
Okay.
Did you need a motion for that? To take it out of?
As long as it's discussed and clarified, just because with the reserves, Jeanette has to have like the dollar amount that you're offering.
My math was the same as yours. Pretty
Perfect.
proud of that.
All right. We'll keep on moving. Discussion regarding the November referendum.
So I'm still working with Brad on finalizing a few things. If you guys have anything else you want to add to the November referendum, you have until, I need to know before September 3rd, because September 3rd I'd have to put together your packet to sign the orders. In talking with Brad, and I thought it was a good idea in the beginning, but then afterthought, the polling question for the aerial services and stuff, I think, and Brad agreed, it would not be a good idea to put that to the voters. He suggested that you have like a public hearing and you get public input that way, which you guys have done.
We did that.
Yeah, and the problem is like, if the voters voted it down, you're done. The only way to undo that is by going to town vote.
But
So that would mean like you'd never be able to, get services for that. So think of it like, if I had an old computer and it was operating on like Windows Vista or something really outdated, and we put it to the voters, hey, do we want to upgrade the town manager's computer, and they voted no, I'd be stuck with the equipment that I have. So it's kind of like, I don't think it's a good idea to put that, to like pull that
Okay.
question, because I don't want to, you guys ultimately get to decide as like the fiduciaries, one way or the other.
And so one of the things, because Lindsay had mentioned this to me earlier today when I called to check in before the meeting, and one of the things I was thinking that we might be able to do as part of this is maybe put together a list of, hey, we're trying to be intentional about how we plan moving forward as a town, and we're seeking, like, put together a survey to say, like, we're thinking of these 5 things, how would you rank those in order of your preference? Or like an open-ended, what other things would you like to see? And I know we would probably only get like a couple, like what, 100, 150 responses typically to a survey that we, in historically,
Yeah, depending. maybe
but it's still more than like the 10 that come because they're against what we're trying to do at a public hearing.
I just, the only reason why I wanted to bring it up at all was to gauge what the rest of the people think
Right.
about it. That's all, because, I mean,
Yeah.
that was the people that cared. We listened to them, we heard them. You know, I'm not saying I want to run out and do this thing,
Right.
but I'd really like to know what more than 30 people think of something. And I don't know how to reach people.
Yeah.
Like every once in a while, I get an email from somebody, oh, thanks for saying this last night, or thanks for doing this, or whatever. And I love that. I want to serve the people of the town of Lyman, and I don't know what they're thinking. So it's that makes it kind of hard. That's
Yeah.
the only reason why I'm not.
But you have, there's 2 sides of the coin. I mean, you have employees who are saying, I need tools to be able to do my job. I have a
Yeah.
backlog, I'm getting behind, like,
Well,
you know. The other option is you hire personnel and you do that, but
well, we did put that in the budget because that was suggested to us in
Yeah.
that certain regard.
But they're not gonna be able to do the work that your assessor does. I mean, they can, even if they did field work. So I have talked about this with her a little bit. And like, there's, the labor market is very challenging right now. You know, like if I were to hire like a town clerk or CEO or, there's nobody with experience or municipal background that's applying for these jobs, which is okay. We can hire green people and we can train them, but then it takes time to train them. So even though we are onboarding more people, I'm not ready to put them out, sending them on field work
Right.
to do the assessor's job,
Right.
because they're
Well-
still training elections and motor vehicles and dog licenses and stuff like that. And it's a lot to learn.
Case in point on that particular item, topographical stuff,
Yeah.
you said today to someone at the podium, well, we don't have the overlay
Yes,
ability to that. So, I mean, right there, that,
like I couldn't identify a boundary line,
Mhm.
so we didn't know, is it
And-
on this
and-
one, this one, both?
and then with that, we would have been able to. That's all, just,
It would have been helpful, yeah. I don't know, it's a challenging one, and I know that there's, opinion on the matter and stuff. There are other municipalities that do use either this service or very similar ones, and it may be beneficial to like reach out to some of them and say, how has it benefited your community? Or what was your process, approving the funding for this? Like, how did your community receive it? Maybe just see
yeah, I mean,
how it
can't hurt.
yeah, I mean, the assessor's point, she feels strongly that it's gonna help her make the assessment of values equitable. And it's gonna help her get through the backlog a lot quicker.
Yeah, I felt bad for her, but,
Yeah. It's hard.
all right.
Other than that, for November referendum, so,
Mhm.
I'll bring it back the 19th, because I'll have more clarity from Brad on just the language. And so you don't have to decide tonight, but I did want to just put that out there, like, I'd steer away from the polling, and maybe we look into surveying, or maybe we look into reaching out to other municipalities and getting feedback or something.
Yeah, I mean, those are good alternatives, I guess.
And then if you guys have anything else other than what's
Do-
in front of you that you want to put in the vote.
Do we want to put the cemetery committee's request on the ballot for this November?
I'd be in favor of it.
Same.
I'd rather, I mean, obviously the people have to decide on that, and I think that would be the
It'd be the best
quickest
time.
way to do it.
Be the best time to get a yay or a nay.
But we're really, I mean, these kinds of requests, if this is an ongoing project, I really would rather see it go through the budget.
But I think we
Cycle
need to be
in
clear
the
that if we
future.
put it on this, then as we start our budget conversations, I think we just need to be clear with
And
that committee.
In my town manager report, one of the newer things I've applied was like putting out a survey questionnaire to some of the committees and employees. Because we do ask for input, but a lot of times, like, not everybody gives us input and they probably just don't think, right?
Right.
So I'm hoping if I give them some questions to look at, it might stir up a conversation or
Yeah.
they start thinking about things. And I'm hoping it'll work.
Or just something to be able to say, you had your chance. Like,
Yeah,
we were
yeah.
doing- we were doing
So
this.
we asked for your feedback.
for a long time, we were doing this.
so the ORC stuff's already gonna be on there.
Mhm.
Um, So, I mean, like I said, I was looking for opinions on that, but it's not a binding thing, so it's not gonna make or break me. I'm not gonna die on the hill, you know, but I don't mind if it's on there and I don't mind if it's not.
I think if our legal counsel recommends not putting it on there, that we take his
Mhm.
advice and
Yep.
not put it on there, just to save either ourselves or future boards down the road, you know, from having
Yeah,
to.
it's because then it doesn't, if it was only gonna be informational, but we were running a risk of never being able to bring it up, which I understand, but it doesn't make sense to me because it seems like we always have questions on certain items in the state and federal level that if they don't like the answer, they keep bringing it up and we keep voting on it over and over and over again until.
They're just not as cool as Lyman, following the rules.
They should watch our meetings.
Perhaps.
So, Madam Chair?
Yeah.
Has the ordinance review committee scheduled a public hearing on these? And that has.
They were working
Yeah,
on
I'm
it.
sorry, you know what date that is? I thought I saw it.
15th. It's a Thursday, it's the 15th.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, next week.
Still, I was looking at the calendar. I'm like, no, it isn't, but that's July still.
It's okay, I was in September today, so.
I didn't turn mine yet. Okay. All right. So, and I also, these are things that are not just polling questions, the donating the land,
Mhm.
the land swap for town hall. I think those should, all this stuff should be on there.
Agreed.
Yeah, I don't have anything else that's come up that I can think of,
Yeah, is there anything else anyone else?
other than
No.
the cemetery committee brought up.
Yeah, just that.
I think this is probably more than enough considering
Probably is.
the rest of it. Awesome, so you'll bring like a version, like,
Yeah, so Brad, basically I write up all the warrant articles, and I just send it over to Brad and say, hey, make sure I got
Yeah.
everything legal. And he'll send me, I did ask it, you know, I asked him to send it to me before the next meeting on the 19th, so I should have it by then. Basically, I'll have like a draft warrant, we can finalize it, and then I'll do the orders for September 3rd.
Yep. That's the,
perfect. Okay, we'll keep moving. Item E, workshop for employee recognition planning.
I just put out there the suggestion, we can talk it over now, but we'll need to figure out logistics. So if you're doing, I know we talked about doing a picnic in the park, which is fine. And I did survey the employees, it was really like 50-50, so I'm not gonna make it mandatory for anybody to go. I don't know what the turnout's gonna be, but we'll find out. And then I kind of need to know, like, where are we putting all the food? And, you know, how are we organizing this?
I thought we sort of went into the discussion phase, and if that if it was just gonna be employees, that we could do it here
We can.
on a day while everyone's here. And either close it to the public, for
I thought
business.
Here was gonna be if it rained.
Okay, see, I guess we do need to discuss it, because
Yeah.
I'm just, I know the conversation has gone so many places that I'm not really
So-
sure where it ended, so.
So I'm okay with the idea of like a short little workshop. I'm a sucker for a workshop, so I want
Yeah.
to speak for everyone.
Yeah,
I just
Friday
think it's
night?
a better, no, stop it.
Already have plans
Never
on
gonna let
Friday.
me live that down, ever.
No, I don't mind. It's a night. I'm just hagging you. It's all in fun.
What's everyone's schedule look like to do that? I don't think it should take that long, honestly.
Next Monday.
Next Monday, 12th.
That sounds good.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I didn't
Is
know.
that
I
a
was
real
talking to-
sure? or-
Okay, so
or
let's-
sarcastic,
Yes.
sure.
August 12th, next Monday.
August 12th. Duly noted.
6.
Yes, please. Cool. All right, see everyone there. Bring all your fun ideas. Okay, department and committee reports. Fire chief. Okay, all hands report. Do you have anything else you'd like to share with us in a report?
No.
No?
I'm not putting that.
Okay.
Oh, come on.
B is our standing one for Vicky to give some fire commission updates.
We did have a fire commission meeting last Thursday. It was fairly late on the agenda, and we had some really good discussion about the future, employee retention, some ideas. Ben Harris never sleeps. He just thinks. And he has some amazing, awesome ideas that I really, like, I've been thinking about it ever since, like, now I'm doing it. So, and so there's some things coming, and I've had some revelation that may tie into a comprehensive plan and the land study things for our future. And as that stuff evolves, or I could go to the different meetings, whatever, with some ideas, I think that's where it should go. And then everybody can say if maybe they think we're crazy or not crazy. That's okay too. But anyway, that was pretty exciting, and so, yeah, I'm liking it.
Good.
Thank you.
We have town manager report. One thing, you'd like to talk about your report at all?
If you have any questions, you can do it.
Could you explain to me exactly what you do?
Jumping out
I
there.
don't think that's possible.
That's item 7H, I believe.
You guys can take things out of order.
Yep, so things are going pretty good. We got a couple of different grants we're looking at. One was the culvert repair on Fort Farm Road, and so that should be, hoping we can start that in August. And that'll help, like, redivert watershed away from Kennebunk Pond. Because there is an effort to, like, keep it clean, and it's an effort to keep the Kennebunk River clean, because Kennebunk Pond flows into the river. I told you a little bit about, like, the questionnaire for the budget review. Our local health officer came up with a really great idea that I really liked for the water testing. So we're just gonna kind of try it out this time. If it goes really well, she's, hoping to expand on it, maybe, get in touch with the CDC on getting, like, someone come out and, she may do another water testing next year and have someone to talk about water testing from the CDC. So, but for now, we're just gonna see how well it takes and if people are into it.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair. I'm sorry, Lindsay. Would it be possible to have an announcement to that effect on the town website? So
There
that-
will be,
Okay.
the discount only applies from like August
Mhm.
19th to 31st, I think.
Mhm.
So, I mean, if you just you really can't pick up the kits or do anything with it right now.
Right.
But she's got flyers she's gonna put out and we'll update the website and stuff like that.
Sounds good.
We just didn't want people like coming in today, like, hey, here's my kit.
Right.
I don't have it yet.
Right.
Yeah, so it's cool. She went and partnered with Nelson Analytics.
Nelson,
and
yeah,
took
good.
photos and to do that. I thought that was really cool.
Mhm.
We did a nice employee training that went really well. It was like a situational awareness training and it was really well received. I did offer it out to other towns, but they just weren't able to like close their office and send their employees here, but they were very interested in it as well. And it's really just about like identifying a dangerous situation or handling like crisis management and talking people through stuff. And it wasn't really like a self-defense thing. It was more like identifying stuff and how to work through it. And we have the November election coming up and we don't know what's gonna happen with that. And then there's just day to day, like I have a lot of, we're primarily female staffed and we have folks that do field work and they have to go to people's properties. And so just the idea was like, we want to just remind them to be safe. And they really enjoyed that training. And one update that I didn't put in here that's rather new is bugging up booth, the booth we have over there, the floor unit AC is not working at all because the booth isn't insulated. So they've been suffering and I did just get a wall, like a window AC unit and I had someone install it in the wall. So I'm hoping with the cold air blowing from the top going down, it'll help cool the unit better. So fingers crossed on that, but if it doesn't work, we might have to look into like getting that building insulated because it's been unbearably hot inside the booth. Because all they have is a floor unit and the cold air is not rising, it's sinking to the floor. And it's just too hot.
Plus,
So,
it's been abnormally hot for a long period of time this
um,
summer. We've
yeah.
actually had a summer.
And the sign out front, because of the heat wave, there's no ventilation in the little building. So I am looking to get some quotes on what we need to do to get vents in there. And then Brendan had recommended it has to get cleaned out every like quarterly, because he went and looked in there and everything's like gummed up with dirt and debris and so just that's coming up too. That's why the sign is not working. And it's been so hot that there's like, with no ventilation, he said the pressure impacts the electrical components, but the heat as well. So basically, every time I try to update the sign, it like shuts itself down. So I'll be back with more updates on that, but that was relatively new.
Yeah, I didn't know it wasn't ventilated.
I didn't know either.
Interesting.
And last year, it rained all the time, so we didn't run into this issue.
Right.
And so he suspects it has to do with the heat wave, just it's getting so hot that can't vent.
Right. Awesome. Thank you. We'll move on to item E, Butternut Park Committee report.
Treasurer?
Oh, I'm sorry. Treasurer's, I just checked it off like we did it. Treasurer's expense report is in there as well. Here to go through those, so. Welcome. It's your turn again.
We finally are, I feel like we're making progress with Bunganup Pond. It's been a road. I think we had our mindset on one thing and the storms changed it for us of what we were going to do and what we can do. One of the first things we realized off the bat that we need, some of the grants we're looking at require us to have a liaison that's either the town manager or the chair, and it specifically states chair of the select board or town manager. Where Lindsay would, the town manager would have to be the one signing off on grants is probably, I don't know if can you be put on a committee?
Oh, liaison, yeah.
Okay, so if she can be put on a liaison for that, the grants require one or the other. And then for the other, I know on the board, we had talked about having Dave with his experience with it, because we're looking at engineering over there and also the tree. You've been doing a lot with the tree company that's doing the harvesting, and we have issues with the red pines that are down there that need to be managed. And that was one of the biggest things that we walked through the park, our invasive species, the dead things down there. So we know we need like tree managey stuff. And I know you have a lot of in-depth knowledge, and we've talked about it as a committee. And then I know we asked if Holly could, I don't know if Holly has reached out to you yet, Holly W., regarding grants for the community, because we do need help in that area. But we were asked if Dave would want to be our liaison for like the Bungnut Park stuff that we do, because I think you have the hands-on experience. You're pretty smart.
For the committee, the world.
We had two before, so Lindsay would be one that we have to have either Jess or Lindsay according to the grants that we have that we're looking at. And then we had talked about you, if you'd be willing to be that slot.
Okay. When do you meet?
We meet when we can, so usually like once a month we meet. And there's a lot in here that I'll get into to kind of let you know where we're heading. But it is like, there'll be engineering things that that's not my bailiwick, that's not my thing, that are coming through that are, the issues, the area that we're looking at, which you'll see from the report that I put out, what the direction kind of we're going and with the $20,000 that we were awarded. And again, hoping to even get more money with grants if we can get those going. We found some that may work. And then we're meeting with another gentleman, I think next week, that's part of a land trust in Acton. And he has some really good advice and ideas for Bunganite as well. So that's the first thing. I mean, you guys can talk about that and decide that afterwards. So that's the first thing we have on there. And then the really cool thing, which was attached to see, is the Boy Scouts. So Colin has a plan done, which I was sent to you and has been approved, I think. He was supposed to be starting, I think the end of this month. What I didn't realize is the Boy Scouts actually age out. So when they do their project, they have to have it completed by the time they're 18 years old. So he has to have it done by November or it's done. So this young man is going to be getting the volunteers, getting the fundraising, getting everything to do, I think a 6-foot wide path to reinstitute the trails that were there at one point. And this should all be done by November. And we just are really excited about that for Bunganut. And we were actually hoping that when it comes to fruition, that when it's done, that we have almost like a celebratory ribbon cutting, like make a really big deal, call news stations. This is really fantastic with the Boy Scouts.
Would be our most likely.
Yeah, get a community story and have a big, ribbon cutting or whatever. Just make a big deal of it. Get the reporter here, or is it the Courier? Is the other? How many papers are left?
Not many. I think a lot of them are the same.
Yeah, I don't even, because Sun Journal doesn't exist, right? That's gone. All right, so just whatever there is for media that we can get it splashed out there what they've accomplished, and they're really a great part of the community here.
Kennebunk still has a local paper that comes out once a week, the Coast Star.
Okay, yep. Yeah. So just, towards when he gets to that point where it's going to be done, just having a really nice ceremony and recognizing him. I'm sure that, they do that for their own internal stuff. But again, it's going to be a huge part of Bunganut Pond to have that trail system and eventually, build more trail systems off it as we can. And again, we look for grants to do those types of things. The next one down where I was talking about the steps into the water, I was able to reach out to, let me grab my phone. A gentleman in Elliott, we found that makes steps. So the platform we have that goes down into the water now. So we're looking for the other areas where we're having erosion, where people are going in like through the pines. There's, I think there's 4 kind of step-ins, and I got to measure again. I was able to find someone that builds those, and I have to go get measurements a little better. And so Kevin might be better at getting the measurements than me. I should not be trusted with a tape measure. But like a 60-foot stringer is equal to 7 steps was $1,400. So I have little quotes here, like 48 inches with 6 steps is $1,200. I don't think we need anything that large per area because it's pretty tiny. And then they have like a platform at the top for them for us to step on is like $50. So I don't even think there's 6 steps. Some of them might be 2 steps to go into the water. It's so shallow. Right now there's
Aluminum ones you're.
yeah. So they'd be aluminum, so they would hold up. You wouldn't have to worry about, the punkiness or wood giving out or rot.
They're fairly light.
Yeah, very light, but be able to be installed just for a safety, people getting in and out of the water. And the biggest thing also was just to cut down on the erosion, because as you slide in, you take some soil with you, and it just erodes that area, which is something we also try to protect for environmental reasons. So I will still continue on that path once I get measurements. That just happened recently. So I haven't been able to get the exact
So, okay, I'm sorry.
oh no, go ahead.
I answered an email today about steps and erosion
Oh, you did?
that I think you sent it, forwarded it along. And I had talked about, I had an idea to prevent erosion and redo those steps. But we were talking about 2 different steps. So just when you see that email,
Oh.
just know I was talking about that long set of steps as you're going down to.
Oh, yeah.
Down to I have an idea for that. I know it'll work famously. I would like to put it on paper and give it to you.
Yeah, no, we're open to hearing anything. So where's the next one?
One of my fortes, the drainage.
So we did wind up, which was not in here because it happened recently, is we met with Acorn Engineering. We reached out to ATAR and Acorn Engineering, which is on here. And they asked for pictures of the park. So we shared pictures with them of what we're kind of looking to tackle, because as a committee, we all voted to tackle the area when you first come down, because it's a hot mess. It's boggy. It's not really user friendly. There's just a lot of, it's not comfortable to hang out at, and getting down there is a bear and not safe right now, in my opinion. And just, so that's the area we've decided with the $20,000 that we have been voted on, to start in that area. So we were reaching out to versus, like this company has a landscape architect as well as an engineer, because there's more almost engineering involved with this portion than there is like architect, because it's not about how it looks, it's about the functionality of. And just with the, Lindsay was in on the meeting, and one of the other members of the committee, Kevin, was on there. And just even with the aerials that Kevin was able to show them, they could see where the backflow from the inlet is just doing nothing but bogging it down, and it's never going to drain. Kevin had gone there on his own to do some surveying, and just fill alone, this is without the work that would be done to bring where its water level up to where it's higher in front of you, would be like $5,000 or $6,000 worth of fill, just to bring it up to that level.
But where's it gonna go from there? It's gonna go in the water.
Well,
If
this
you
is where
raise-
no, it wouldn't, because it's not, this is way back.
Okay.
So this is back here. So it wouldn't go anywhere because it would still have drainage. But what's happening over here from the inlet coming in is failing. Because I think there was, possibly berms there, but they're not working either. But no matter what you do, even if you tried to run anything, you're at water level. It's not going to do anything. It's so much higher up above. But it doesn't solve like the parking down there, that one handicap spot, which we do need more than one. That's also part of what we're looking at. So we did meet with Acorn Engineering, and they were really great in understanding that we're a small municipality. ATAR never got back to me even after seeing pictures. So Acorn was willing to meet with us via Zoom. They're willing now to come out and do a site walk with us. They understand we're a small municipality. They're willing to work with us on tiny projects at a time, because they have all the different, engineer, architect, different things. The one woman we spoke to that's an engineer worked for the DEP for quite a few years. So she has an understanding of what they require as well. And she was saying that they would also help facilitate projects that like the community can do. So not just them doing it. So it'd be like, here's a project that if you worked on this, your community could do this if you had volunteers. Understanding we have a very small budget and we're a small town. They're used to working like this. They have lots of contacts, and they actually work for a lot of municipalities. So they were a great contact. It was really a great meeting. We thought it went swimmingly. And they're going to be planning a site visit. I can't do day stuff, so I know they're working out with Lindsay and some committee members to do a walkabout Bunganut and kind of throw some ideas out there. But they could see what we were talking about, that coming down and the horrible steps that are there.
So I'm sure we'll be able to attend that.
Oh yeah, I mean, Lindsay's I can't schedule it because I'm not.
I'm not, I've just been watching.
Yeah. So Kevin and a couple other, Holly will be doing it, but I'm sure we'll put it out there, to when they're ready to meet. It has not been planned yet.
Okay.
So that's what we're waiting for at the moment. Let's see. So that's where we are with them. And Vicky, if you have an idea for the Plan Hill idea.
The day that I was there taking the girls out, nobody was using the stairs. They were all walking next to the stairs. Everyone.
Yeah.
Like nobody used them.
You mentioned the grills. Can we mention to the Y to update their website that the grills are not there anymore? I think everyone knows we know the grills aren't there, but the Y I think still has them on the page because I had a friend say, "Oh hey, I bought charcoal and I went there and there's no grills."
Yeah, maybe more current pictures because there's no trees there. There's no shade at
He
all.
still has nice day at the beach, but he's
Yeah.
a little bummed that he couldn't do that.
No grills. So yeah, if you have something you have to draw for me to bring to the committee, that would be great. I know Rusty has a plan he's working on. I haven't seen it yet, so he was supposed to bring that. He just needs to reapply and come.
Yeah.
But we also, as a committee, thought this swoop around, especially for the Stevens, because I know that Parks and Rec wants to keep that hill. They want it for sledding during the winter because that'd be a good old.
Sure.
So we were talking about improving and making it so that the loop around that comes down would be easier for the handicap and people with carriages, carts. But there's a lot of brush and there's some runoff issues in that trail as well that would need to be resolved. So that's our thought process right now. Again, it's meeting and starting down that path of, okay, what financially can we do with the money we have to make this work? So so we did that. Let's see. We have talked about the boat ramp. We know that was very contentious the last time it was talked about. So that's just kind of we don't want motorboats there. That's not what we're looking to do. We're looking for an easy place to people to bring their kayaks, their paddle boards, their canoes into the pond. Because there is no easy way to do it right now.
They park in the that one handicap parking spot.
You got it.
I'm sure this is it's been a while since I took a canoe down there. Still a gate that you have to get the key for to get access.
I think the Y opens it during the day.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's pretty defunct to even get down there and carry stuff down. It's just a bit of a hot mess. So there are grants to help create boat ramps. And that's one thing we're looking at as well. And again, we're very respectful of the people on the pond because they were we have years ago, there was actually a plan. So we have that stuff. But there was a lot of contention. So it just never happened. But I think there was the fight of people wanting motorboats on there and jet skis. And that's not what this committee, we want to keep it just chill, because the wakes cause such erosion as well, as we all know, on the water.
Types of boat launches encourage that kind of thing.
Yep.
And so
This would be made so it would not encourage big boats or motorboats. And it can, you can even mark it, say no motorboats are allowed to come in there. If you're only doing it for kayaks and canoes and stuff like that. And I think there's even new laws that even prevent boats from causing wakes so much close to the shore because of the erosion we have going on. And, there was interesting things we learned from the talk is all that, and we have pictures to prove it, all that sand that's in the water that used to be up top, we can reclaim that legally and bring that up. So these are things we're learning by working with these companies that understand DEP. If we had pictures to prove, which we do, what it used to look like, we can bring it back to that with what's there. We can't bring in sand, we can't bring in material that close to the water, but
right.
if it fell in because it just was eroded, it can be brought back out, which is kind of nice to know we can do that. But again, there's been a lot of erosion. It's just been that way for years. Let me see what else I have on here. there was just a lot. Sorry, guys. So one of the things we talked about, because this day, the day that we went, the person in front of me is like, can we bring dogs? And that's, a big nope. And so we would like to see pre-hours and after hours for people with dogs allowed at the park, whether it's instituted this year or next year. When the trails are done, we want dogs to be allowed to on the trails, of course, on leash, all that stuff, have signs saying on leash and things like that. But, for someone to take their dog down in the park before hours and after hours, we were wondering if the board would consider that. Because there is no place to take your pups, and for the walking as well. What we would like the walking to be, no matter when they can bring their dog on the walks. It's going to be a big path and lots of paths and shaded. It'll be really, really nice. Hello. So let's see, we did that. And then we did talk about the doggy doo-doo station, because you'd want to have a couple of those for the poopy bags. I think there's one Holly Hart was saying over at Lyman that doesn't get used very often, she's like, well, we can move it over there. I'm like, well, you probably want to keep it over there it does get used some. I did price them out. They're $200 to $300 depending on the kind you get. So then that led to questions like, well, who empties it? So these are things that I thought about. So I know Holly said she emptied the other one when it was full. But these are things to consider, if we do put these things out there, to have something instituted of how these things are maintained. So just we're trying to think fiscally responsible, but also how is this maintained? Let's see. I'm looking into vault toilets because I don't know if you knew about the way amazing vault toilets they have in Portland now, waterless. They're placing them all over the community because, with the homeless and people visiting, they need them. They're nicely done. They're metal, so they're very rugged. They hold up to vandalism better than, say, something wood. Hopefully we wouldn't have that, but so I'm looking into that. I haven't gotten too far with that one because I was busy with steps and a few other things. So I'm still working on that one. One thing we were thinking about, though, is that changing station is still a bit of a hot mess. The ramp is punky. There's holes. It's pretty bad. And considering, I would like to look into, and that's one of the things I would try to find a small, like you had the shed that got replaced, to see what a small shed would cost. Maybe put it down towards the porta potties and set up high, because you have people changing up top, then they have to use the bathroom, and the bathrooms are at the bottom of the hill over there. Kind of strategically place things together for use so they can change down low. But just to find out how much a small shack would cost, it's just a teeny tiny thing with a door and maybe windows up high so you can see as you're in there because there's no electricity. So that's one thing we're looking at. Spring cleanup, of course, cleanup never happened because storms hit like crazy and all kinds of stuff. So we are doing, hopefully, a 2025. We're really hoping to gain momentum with, like I said, the ribbon cutting, things like that. People seeing we're making changes, we're doing something to the betterment of the park, and then hopefully get a community cleanup event in the spring next year. So we're already thinking that far ahead.
That's when we were discussing the people with chainsaws.
Yes. And then Holly W. has started reaching out for grants. And again, Acton, for a presentation we listened to about land trust and grants, and he's willing to work with us and give us advice. He's been brought out to speak to people in Colorado. So it's really kind of amazing. They had a constituent, I think, donate like $300,000, I can't remember, it was a large amount of money. Their town one-time deal did $100,000, and they have this huge land trust now for the community that protects their land for into the future. So we're meeting with him to get his advice about Bunganut, because it's 160 acres of amazing, and we want to make sure we're doing the right thing by it. And then Leamington has almost kind of the same issue as us, where they have water, parks and rec. So they actually have their own rec program that they run for their kids. They have waterfront, so they deal with the same thing of erosion, picnic benches. They deal with all the same things that we deal with here. So we're hoping to be able to take kind of a field trip, a couple of us, and check out what they have going on and how they do it. But they have a stellar program, and they run it amazingly, and it's really amazing what they offer, what they do, what they pull off there, the events they do. And they're a small town. I don't think they're any bigger than us, or not much if they are. So we want to look into how they run it and how they do, maybe get some advice from them if there's anything they have for little nuggets of knowledge for us. That's it. It was a lot. Like I said, it was so far, I think the meeting coming up with Acorn will probably be the biggest thing coming up, and still researching stuff. And then hopefully we'll have something that can be put out to bid or for RFP. If it's over a certain amount, we'll have a better idea of what it can look like.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And one more thing that I wanted to do during public comment, and I know this is off. Dawn and I were here for a comprehensive meeting, and a member had an emergency and 2 others couldn't make it. So Dawn and I just went to shoot the crap over the table over here. And I was really I was coming from work, so I was wearing a nice dress. That's covered in moss, and it ripped my dress. That picnic bench out there that the employees are supposed to sit on. All the little pickies grabbed my dress, and I have little pickies in my very nice favorite dress. So just for the employees who dress nicely to work and be so, maybe they should have a place they can sit outside that doesn't ruin clothing. And it's covered in moss and it's old, maybe an umbrella for them. So employee appreciation, maybe a nice little sitting area for them. I mean, I would bring my sander, and I have my own sander. I really do. I'll come and sand it for you. But just as a thought,
Might be
we're
beyond that. I think that's the same table. It's been out there forever.
it might need to meet Jesus. So,
On fire.
maybe for the employees, that's a nice recognition too, is have a nice little place with an umbrella to sit and have their lunch when it's not the blazes of glory. But just as a thought, because I thought, oh my gosh, if you fell and hit your hand, you'd be full of splinters. So just
Part of the renovation of the town hall and the expansion, maybe we do some,
a patio or something
something nice to.
for the employees, because
But I'm worried it'll just get stolen.
yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah. You'd have to chain it, but even just a picnic bench that they don't catch their clothing on.
That's good thought. 'Cause
So just thinking of the employees where you're trying to do something for them, that's nice. Maybe a new picnic bench is in order
is your
for,
dress repairable?
oh, it's okay. I have more dresses, but I was just like, oh, I like that one. When you have a good one,
Yeah.
but it's all good. It's all good. So thank you all very much.
Can you put me on
Thank you.
your chain?
Yes.
Your list?
If you're willing to, and everyone's good with it and stuff like that. And I know Holly, if she hasn't, will reach out to you.
Mhm.
She has like 3 grants she's looking at. One, thank God, doesn't have a deadline till next June. That's the really big one. It's like really good. It takes care of our waterfront trails that for safety. And that's one thing though, really quick, sorry. The AARP has so many grants for elder. We can't get near them because you need a mini comp plan done. I don't have time. Our committee doesn't have time. If anyone's good at that stuff, it's like you have to write this little mini comp plan to get in it. Like Kennebunk's in it, Berwick's in it.
I think I sent the link out to the Butternut Park Committee a while ago, but I can always resend it to you guys if you want to look at it.
Yeah, that was last
A lot
year
of
too.
Towns are part of the elder friendly program,
Mhm.
the AARP, but you have to write, it's like a comprehensive study on your elder community.
Right.
So some towns like Kennybunk had a committee that did it, or sometimes you
Mobile
have a
training.
person that does it. But you collect statistical data,
Yep.
put it together. So if you go to this link, you can actually read some of the other towns. They're extensive. But when you get in there and they approve your thing, there's a lot
Their
of
grants
that
are amazing and easy to get, but
I'd love to tap into that.
we tried to do it, but we didn't have time to write the plan. And then a lot of the data they're asking for now is now done from that plan we just had for comprehensive plan. All that data is available in that new portal. Remember the
Yep.
portal we got? So a lot of the statistical data they want for that comp plan is now available current. But our committee just doesn't have the wherewithal. We all work full-time jobs to
Well,
take that on.
Being a longtime member of AARP and being retired, I'll give it a go.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of paper.
It'd be amazing at that.
It would, but it's like the grants they have to facilitate access to any pond, Bunganut, the like. It's amazing the grants they have to offer those services for our elderly.
Sure.
We would love to tap into that and have that, because nothing more than a nice handicap spot that's not a sinkhole.
Sullivan, for example, and I was talking to some other communities, like Sullivan had got a grant through AARP for $90,000 to create ADA walking trails.
Mhm.
in parks and recs.
Yeah.
So they will- I mean, we could get ADA grants for to upgrade the doors, so we have handicap accessible doors.
Mhm.
You can get it for like sidewalks, if you need to improve sidewalks,
It's
lighting infrastructure.
huge list, but it's getting past that first nugget of getting in there and getting the packet approved. And then you're golden, and then you're in, and there's so much available to the town for so many different things. Because there was some good ones for the lake, and we couldn't do it. It was too much.
There a lot of work when we
Yeah.
did the Brownfield grant all those years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
When we went to Boston to learn how to do it, they did this class on it. The lady told me, "You have to make me cry." So I did.
Joe, do you have the link to the new data that the town got?
I'm gonna ask how you made that happen.
I'm uncertain if I do. You
It
can
was
Send
kind
it
of-
to me, please.
Yeah, no, it's actually on the main, it's so funny, it's on the main agricultural website. That's who did the redo of the data. So it's on there. I'll send you the link from the main site. And then Lyman we had requested them to be done this year. We just got it, I think, a month ago. And it's all it's like a rabbit hole. It's crazy, but it's all the data from the town to help do a comprehensive plan. But it's amazing. It's like mind blowing, the data that's in there. So I'll send you that link. And yeah, if that AARP thing happened, holy, that would be amazing for the town. All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
We have a report from Parks and Rec,
Mhm.
outlines what they were working on in July. Swimming lessons, concerts in the park are still going strong.
Yeah,
I've heard good feedback on them.
yeah, I went to one.
When does that end?
End of the
August
month.
22nd. So there's what, 3 more?
Mhm.
And
Thursday.
when are you thinking? Oh, never mind then. I was gonna say, when are you thinking about the appreciation night? That's just,
It was September 6th.
Is it?
Kind of nailed down a date. And, is that what we're on?
Yes.
So, you're talking about the employee recognition thing?
No, we're talking about the.
Well,
I was wondering if it went that far, if it was, I know, I'm sorry. But if it went that far, if you could coordinate it to have it there,
Right.
you know, that was my thought.
Yeah, that was something we came up with.
No, but it wouldn't
I
matter.
think he was
It would,
saying, like, we could,
so-
like, be there.
Exactly.
like, as attendees.
Yes.
I think is all he was.
that's all.
Let's see, we're still collecting donations for the Battleship Playground set for Chadbourne Fields. Bringing back the Scarecrow and Pumpkin Making event. We'll be doing kite making and flying either at the end of August or September. New slides up at Bunganet. This does say that the old one's next to the dumpster and has to be removed. I don't know.
I'll probably have to call Dave.
I never got my rope back.
Oh. The last thing, you missing the rope, like.
I wanted that back, but I don't have to have it back. Obviously, I've survived without it.
And then just mention Colin Clark and the Eagle Scout project that we looked at was Michelle's report out.
Nice.
Awesome. Eco Main Rep.
Yeah, so this was sent out to all the board and the owner communities. So I guess when you have a landfill, you have to be prepared for closing that landfill in 30, 35 years, I guess. So this is just the annual report that they put out, and that $18,497,670 would be the cost of what it would cost right now if they were to close the landfill. But it's not where they're at yet anyway. So, and they do have a reserve set aside for that they've been pooling the money in. So they have approximately 16 million set aside for that. So just thought I would share that from 1989 to 2024, just in municipal solid waste, Lyman has contributed 51,786 tons to that landfill, and that's 2.31% of all of the owner communities. And our cost share is the $427,189. And then tomorrow morning, I'm sacrificing my sleep, which I love, to go to a food scrap diversion and recovery workshop at Eco Maine. So I'm actually very
You
excited.
might see what my beeps there, just saying.
Oh, yeah?
Maybe.
So I'll let you know what happens there.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I
Yeah,
want to hear it.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, because I'm like really into composting now, so what can we pull out of the
Right.
trash and put into that? So,
Awesome. Thank you.
Do you have one of those step-on buckets that you throw all the,
I don't.
No.
I have a little small green thing that I got from Eco Maine, and it snaps really well, so there's no bugs or anything. I open it once, let it sit for a little while, bring it outside, and then I have to spin my own thing.
that's rough.
It
That's
is rough, yes.
All right, so now down to item 7. We handled letter A.
Not the-
We did not handle D, so we will review / approve Town Line Restaurant liquor license. And in this instance, they are asking or requesting for us, which we're not required to have a public hearing, but they're essentially saying they've had their license for the last 8 years. In that time, they've never had any violations or complaints filed against it.
So they do run a tight ship there.
I'd make a motion to approve that.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Alright, we handled C. Letter D, MMA, Vice President and Executive Committee ballot letter.
This is the one, Dave, like.
The MMA fight?
MMA fight, yeah.
If I'm reading this right, there's one nominee for VP, and we have to vote for one, and then there's 3 nominees for executive committee, and we vote for 3.
So none are contested.
There's nothing contested. I don't know much about any of these individuals.
And biographies for each.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, the biographies for each are impressive.
Yeah, I was reading that.
I'm sorry, Andrew.
No, I just like where they don't take write-in candidates since their process includes an opportunity to nominate a candidate through petition. So they've already done their process, and this is what they've got from them.
Well, they made it easy. Vote for 1, vote for 3.
Yeah.
I still think it's important to contribute and vote and
Mhm.
do all those things.
Any thoughts on that?
I would move that the board votes in favor of Mr. Poirier for the vice presidency, Mr. Seer, Ms. Cole, and Mr. Garside for the executive committee.
Second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We took care of E. We're at letter F for committee applicants. Letter A, we have planning board. This section, I got a little out of whack here.
Fabulous.
Mhm.
Make a motion that we appoint Timothy Rivard to the planning board.
So I need to know,
Mhm.
because there's 3 vacancies,
Mhm.
where do you want to land them?
Regular member?
Yeah, there's a 3-year,
My thought,
1 year, and then a 2-year alternate.
my thought is if you need a 1 year, just to bring him in easy. That's what I'm thinking. He's never volunteered before.
No, I know him,
Oh, do you?
yes.
I also think if he's doing what it's outlined on this document, he's ready.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you're suggesting the 3 year?
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm good.
Sorry, was there a second? Vicky motion.
I'll second. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
for the 3 year term.
Mhm.
Yes.
Very good.
So before we do anything on, the fair hearing board is not the one that we're getting, that is going on the referendum.
Right.
Okay.
No.
Oh, I know. Okay, I'm
That's
sorry.
the,
Yeah, I'm there now.
Mhm.
I'll make a motion to take the town manager's recommendation and appoint Stephen
It's pronounced Tiffany.
Hippie. Okay.
Tiffany.
Okay, then if he told you, then that's what we're gonna go with. Stephen Hippie to the Fair Hearing Board.
I second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So Madam Chair, just a quick question. How many members do we have on the Fair Hearing Board
This
at
is-
present?
This,
This is
all right.
This is the first, okay.
Yeah, she'll be the first.
All right, thank you. Well done.
Planning board, I did not put an appointment sheet in your thing, because I wasn't sure what you wanted to appoint him, what term.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be on the next one, it'll be in the next
Officially, okay.
thing, but he's not ready until September. so.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Okay, so we got those two done.
Yeah.
Discussion / adoption of health insurance for domestic partnership.
This had come up, and I had to go look into it, because we weren't sure if I had to go to the voters, and he said basically you guys can vote and adopt it. And it's just another benefit to, for recruitment, retention, and stuff like that.
Did this not, there was nothing, the personnel policy, we had other,
We did put something like this in there.
Good.
Oh,
that's what I was talk to you about the other day.
I'm glad you brought that.
I'm glad.
Well, I have mine too, I was just gonna get it.
Because maybe I'm thinking we might have not really involved with it.
Well, that we did though.
It has
I
been
thought so, too.
required, in doing like interviews and stuff like that, some people have inquired this specifically. So,
Let's see. Health insurance. We might have to update this if we implement it. Yeah, it doesn't specifically talk about it. Talks about enrolling, it talks about the opt-out, life insurance, supplemental life insurance.
I'm sorry, Jessica, what page?
Benefits started on 34.
Thank you.
so this is basically, I would take this text, if it's not in there, and paste it in there, or you've already voted to adopt this.
Because, well, I remember this, there was a certain place where there was some descriptions similar to this that I recall from when we were whittling it down to what we ended up with, and
We talked about a lot of things.
yeah, I know, and that's why I'm trying to like, I got, the The circle that spins on your computer, yeah, I get that going on.
Yeah, it's not spelled out.
I don't believe it's in there, and I think that's why I inquired about this. Like,
I
a
think
long
when we
time
were
ago.
doing this, we talked about how we wanted to incorporate
Mhm.
this. But I think you were doing what you did and looking into it,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly. Maybe possibly.
Great. Well, if it's not in there,
Looking on it.
I think it's an oversight. I think we should have it in there.
Well, I think it just wasn't because we hadn't approved it being a thing.
Don't discriminate.
Mhm.
So. Anyone has,
And you think this is necessary?
yeah, I think it's
It's been
streamlined.
required, so
Mhm.
it just makes us more competitive when interviewing people, you know, the type of benefits we offer. Because it's defined right here, you know, any employee who's eligible to enroll in employer benefits, you know, so it's not gonna be for every employee, but because we've classified part-time, full-time, per diem, stipend. And then it kind of defines what that domestic partner is. And then this actually came from MMA, which is where we get our insurance benefits.
So, could they pay for the spouse benefit?
What we
Or,
do
sorry, domestic
basically
partner.
would be very similar to like our family plan. So if you're full-time, you can opt into, I always get the verbiage wrong. It's like you pay like 70% of the difference of a single plan.
Okay.
I have to look at, I think it is written.
So I can't just come here with my whole fam and get free
Right,
insurance for
and it is
everyone.
written,
That's
so
all I
you
want to
look
make
up,
sure,
like-
sorry.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm glad we're helping people, I just want to make sure.
Right.
All right, I'm good with that. This is pretty standard at this point.
Yeah.
You don't have to decide tonight, I mean, it's not like dire, but if you wanna like roll it over, you certainly can.
Knock it out.
I'm ready to roll with it if
Let's do it
if
when
that's
we're-
what,
We got a motion, I'm on board.
make a motion, we adopt the policy of domestic partner coverage effective tomorrow.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
I
Perfect.
mean, you gave us a lot of good information along with this that made me pretty confident about being able to do it.
Last item, discussion of town manager performance evaluation format. And so to that, I sent out some information some forms that I use at my place of employment that I kind of tweaked and modified to be user friendly to here. Lindsay had shared some other examples as well, just other town samples.
Yeah.
And then just some basic general information about sort of the why and how and things to keep in mind and consideration as you go through this process, which I hope will help with some people. Because I do this frequently and I know others don't necessarily do it. I'm fine with however people want to do it. I know we scheduled a workshop for next Monday. If we want to look into that, or if we want to jump into it.
I, there was one, that I think, there's one that you use for employees. That's the one that you said, because to me,
I didn't
I don't think she
send
said
you
what
guys
she
those, but I did send like Town of Madison.
yeah, okay, there was one and it said Lyman on it.
Oh, I think it's the one that I tweaked. I
And-
put Lyman into mine.
But some of these, to me, is too much. It's way too much.
I mean,
We
I can
have-
Send you what I do with employees now, it's a lot more basic than this.
That's
but-
what I'm looking for. I feel like,
Madison's a little over the top, I thought, but that's me.
to my way of thinking, if we you know, you gotta know what you're talking about, how you're doing in your job, and then we all have an opinion, and you have an opinion on the employee has an opinion how they're doing. I feel like it could be more of a conversation than like a written test, basically.
Yeah.
And I feel like we have a hybrid here. This is not what every other town has done installing a town manager. I feel like we could do this any way we want, as long as it's effective and it communicates what we needed to communicate. I just feel like we can't let it fall through the cracks though, but some of these to me are just, I don't know, I just can't fathom it.
That, I agree.
Score
couple
and
of
numbers.
yeah. Getting into advanced mathematics here.
If not, I'm at.
7 pages
No
worth of
presentation,
criteria.
Right before.
I'd have to have a workshop for that.
Everybody bring your calculator. Yeah, no, so I think if everybody wants to take some time to think about that, if everyone's good with rolling that into the workshop.
Sounds good.
Can you send us what you use
Sure.
currently?
Okay.
Which is pretty new, so I mean, I may tweak mine sometimes, you know, if I decide, oh, yeah, put a basic one out there to start off with this year.
I like that. I like the idea of basic. I think less is more sometimes.
You can always build on.
So, and we're still discussing this. We were going to discuss format. I'm curious how you pictured it to be formatted.
Well, I'll send you what I do with the employees now. It's pretty basic. Mostly it's a check-in and most of it is a conversation. For me, that's how I handle it.
Mhm.
Is I have it in a paper form, so it's documented and it's recorded, and I have that on file. So if there is any, goals or issues or anything that we addressed, I can make note of that. But most of it's really just a conversation of, okay, and people are more responsive to that in my experience. It's easier to sit down and have a conversation than have them like write it out.
Yeah.
And I think most people get really nervous. So I always tell them like, if you can't think of anything to say or you don't know what to write down, like don't leave it blank. It's okay because we're just going to talk about it. And that's kind of how I approach it. But I'm totally open to like considering ideas and workshopping it.
I'll just share a little bit about how, so similar to what Lindsay just said, so the forms that I had sent out, there's two. One of them's a self-assessment that the employee goes through, and they're pretty basic questions. But I find it helpful to give that to an employee so that they can outline what they feel their goals or things that they accomplished, milestones, things like that were throughout the year. Because I guess this is a little different because there's one of you and 5 of us.
That's
but
what
at
I
the
was
same
going to
time,
get to that.
but at the same time, like I have quite a few people that I'm just not able to remember every single milestone that they hit throughout the year. So a lot of times it's a nice refresher of like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
She did that like a year ago. That's awesome.
I liked your form
ago.
there with the questions and that idea more than I did some
Yeah.
of these other ones.
Well, and then what I honestly do is I fill out my part of it with all of my feedback. Because typically if I'm having a conversation, well, for the most part, if it's I know it's going to go well, I fill out formally my part of it. I have a separate conversation and I say, okay, here's how I documented everything that we just went over. There's nothing bad in here, but please take a look at it. If you disagree with anything, let me know. We can have a conversation. And then most of the time people will just sign it at that point in time. Because when I do that, I'm typically not writing anything like they totally suck and shouldn't work here anymore. Like I'm not writing that. So
Well, gee, I hope not.
I deal with that before we get to this point.
Right.
So,
Well, that's
you know.
documented too, right?
right? So yeah, so I think if people just want to think through that part, I don't think you need a ton of time on it, but I just think it's easier to talk through in a workshop.
I think it's good
Yeah.
to be moving on it though. That's-
Well, what workshop could we get a copy of the position description for the town manager?
The job description.
Thank you.
That's right. You don't have one.
I think we can start our signing process.
Yes.
Like,
To go back to the format part of that.
Yeah.
How do you feel about sitting down with the five of us?
I don't have a problem doing that.
Good.
I'm
glad to hear that.
Started initiating it last year, because I've had executive session meetings say, hey, you guys want to check in? But yeah, I don't have a problem putting it on you guys. It would tell you in executive session.
Okay.
Joe, I just sent you the link and I told you for the data. And I think I found the data here, and I sent that.
Okay.
to
Thank you very much.
to have that.
All right.
And if I can help in any way,
Thank you.
the data, we got all
I think that's fabulous. But you got time to do that. It's a mind numbing. The grant stuff I did in the past, it was mind numbing. Absolutely.
There's like 3.8 million worth of grants in there. It's amazing.
Just one signature and, oh, no, there it is. Never mind.
Oh, did I miss?
No, there was
Oh, I
stuff.
didn't check. Sorry.
That's nice.
Oh,
No,
yes,
I
we're
didn't.
voting.
What is it?
You'd be jealous.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you.
Staple notes here by stickers. I need one. I might have to move around. Here, he's a town manager, just like that.
Oh, careful,
Nice.
some of these, our names are in different places.
Sorry.
Yeah, don't get caught doing that.
Pay attention.
Shoot, my chainsaw's in the back.
Running wheel on the Dremel. which is ridiculous.
Oh,
Just sharpen it up.
oh. Yeah, I do that by hand with a file. There's an art to it. You gotta do it just so, and you gotta come off the,
Yes.
you learn from an old tree guy, so.
Minutes or something.
Yes, there it is, file. They're coming.
What are we gonna do now?
Well, it's coming your way.
Thank you, Sean.
Yeah, no 35-minute meeting.
Yeah, I told Lindsay that on the.
I know, we can't-
I said, I don't think
But we've done a lot.
I don't think we can pull it up.
Yeah, no, not every time. That was really, yeah, I found it rather unsettling, actually.
Cut it out, I was pretty amped, I was like, "God, it's done."
I thought about that meeting for a couple of days, like, wow, that was,
We're on it.
yeah.
Yeah, that was good. Gonna happen occasionally.
Great.
Make sure you hit them all. That one's mine. That's mine. No, that's my stuff. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, more stuff.
You're welcome.
That one did it. That one did it.
There we go.
Oh, that was in my-
Yeah, I left that quote, that bid in here, so I just straightened the front.
Okay.
Last one.
Is it?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Nice.
Any discussion on that, friends?
Yeah, can we talk about it?
All in favor?
Aye.
Fabulous.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Yes, thanks.
Thank you for coming.
Quite a bit.
Yes, thank you.